I read something that said that there are 4 types of introvert. And the first one is what they call the social introvert. And these are the people who don't particularly enjoy socializing. And then the thinking introvert, you've got the anxious introvert, and then you've also got the restrained introvert. And just hearing those 4 categories made a lot more sense to me, why people were often quick to say, well, I'm an introvert, but don't assume I'm shy, or I'm an introvert, but I love socializing, provided I keep my energy up. And I think the more perhaps that those 4 different categories are shared, then I think people will kind of move away from that, oh, introvert, you must be shy, you must be anxious, you must be all these different things, because of course, it's not the case. So then that could help in the workplace as well, to kind of make it easier for introverts to be successful.
100%. There's a couple of things that made me think. One is around this idea of uniqueness, and don't define me by one word kind of thing. And I think it's also about it's sort of recognizing the strengths of introverts. So it's almost like extroverts is the sort of the default. They're these kind of positive descriptors, whereas the introverts, it's I'm either shy or find social situations challenging. Whereas actually, let's flip the narrative and let's talk about some of the sort of the skills and some of the kind of the natural tendencies that introverts have that maybe bring real strength and value to, especially if we're talking about workplace situations. So potentially being really good at listening, being really good and aware of what other people are saying, what other people might be thinking and not saying. I think introversion can sometimes be associated with more empathetic leadership, more empathetic relationships, which is hugely valuable for business. There can be something about resilience potentially, not all the time. And I really hate the idea of kind of pigeonholing, because it kind of goes against. But I do think there is something about sort of flipping the narrative to be more positive, and I think drawing out some of the strengths. So, for example, we do a lot of the work that we do is about training organizations and training leaders to become more inclusive leaders. I think if you sort of think about the historical mold for success of what a leader should look like, it's this kind of command and control, this very sort of assertive, visionary, it's this kind of extrovert mold, if you like. But inclusive leadership is really about creating an environment where all team members can feel valued and heard and empowered. And it's actually critical in a workplace today where we're leading kind of much more diverse teams. The kind of world is becoming more kind of smaller as we're kind of connecting globally. It's really, really important to kind of bring everyone's voice in and to be able to leverage those diverse perspectives. And actually, there's some introverted traits that are really great for inclusive leadership. So, and there may be things that maybe some extroverts find challenging. So, for example, as I talked about, the listening skills, deep thinking, being able to kind of naturally foster this culture of empathy and understanding, fundamental for inclusivity. Building deep relationships, really understanding others and putting yourself in other people's shoes rather than it kind of the focus always being on you. I think sometimes extroverted leaders are so happy being kind of center stage that they remain center stage, whereas actually a leader's job is to almost set the stage and then get out of the way so that the team can perform and the team can kind of put the show on. And I think introverted leaders can kind of lean into that and delegate and give other people opportunities and ultimately create a more empowering and inclusive workplace for everyone. I think the other thing that introverted leaders can bring is that this understanding of some of the challenges that some introverts face. And I think inclusive leadership is all about recognizing difference and providing support and guidance and different options so that everyone can thrive. So, for example, in a meeting, it's not just about the loudest voice. It's giving people the opportunity to maybe share things anonymously or share their thoughts in written form afterwards. And I think that's where the kind of introverted leader can kind of play into their strengths. I think it's really important, not just in the context of introversion, but in the context of life, is to kind of lean into who you are and be the best you can be, not try and make yourself to be someone you're not. I think that's kind of where we're falling short sometimes in the workplace, where we're people are sort of trying to become something that they're not. And I think that's emotionally exhausting and detracts from that person actually being able to perform at their best. I do think there are areas of leadership that maybe some extroverts find easier. And for introverts, it's about thinking of growth opportunities and areas to work on. And, you know, we're all growing and we're all learning. It's really important to always be trying to improve yourself. And the more you know yourself, the more you can improve yourself.